These games are about freedom, people, and consequence, and Bethesda does not understand that. Bethesda's Fallout games are turning into games that are about looting, shooting, and nifty environmental details. They lose sight of what Fallout is about in exchange for good shooting and gimmicky stories that undermine major events from previous games. This is what personally pisses me off about Bethesda games. They have no idea what they are doing aside from the fact that they deliver people the most unoffensive, easily consumed, and easily developed gameplay loop they can. It's no longer a developer that would stand up to its producer and tell them to let them gamble a fortune away. It's a company that shits out games that are almost the exact same framework as their last game every 4 years, that keeps testing their limits of how much they can get away when it comes to price gouging and content stripping. This is my favorite game series. Fallout New Vegas is my favorite game. I love Fallout. It has a very special place in my heart, and I am sick to my fucking ears with the idea that the future of my favorite game series is going to be made out of deceit and games that are absolutely shallow and too big to ever be totally consumed. I am sick of the fact that the people who represent my favorite game are marketing arm extension integritalist cowards who shift their opinion every 10 minutes to be the least controversial they can. I am sick of the fact that it is very unlikely that my favorite RPG setting, Fallout, is likely to never be used for a real RPG again. I don't say what I said because I hate Fallout or because I want to hate Fallout 4. I really want to like new Fallout games. I want there to be good Fallout games released every now and then. But I doubt that is going to happen. The market for these games has shifted dramatically. These are no longer incredibly deep RPGs made for big nerds who really like digging into their games and finding out the politics of a bunch of factions and what makes the best cowboy character in the post-nuclear world. These are now games for people who just want to get on their Xbox, shoot some raiders for 2 hours, and go to bed. And that is very unlikely to ever change for a very long time. Skyrim made sure of that. I hate to say this. These words are like poison. It's like regurgitating fire. But for the first time in my life, I did not purchase every part of a Fallout game that I could, and for the first time in my life, after so many years of being a huge nerd for this franchise, to the point where I make my own goddamn props for this, I have my own homemade First Recon sniper hat, I am unsure if I am going to even consider buying the next game in the series. And to Bethesda, even though I know there is no chance anyone from that place is listening, unless something about the way you guys conduct yourselves and how you make your games changes, you have lost a customer. You have probably lost many customers.
That was quite the monologue. I don't think I've ever had someone encapsulate my thoughts on the Fallout franchise so accurately. Not just the Fallout franchise, but Bethesda Softworks in general. This is Mr. Caption. Possibly, in my opinion, one of the best game critics on YouTube focusing on the RPG genre. That is, until his channel and his videos vanished one day, deleted by Mr. Caption himself, because he, one of the most dedicated and detailed critics on YouTube, was facing a barrage of criticism. But what could turn a confident critic into someone who sounds like a domestic abuse victim?
I made a real big video and everything, and I didn't do a great job. And I would have liked to have gone back and kind of remade the video, because I got all these critiques and things, which I appreciate. Don't think I don't. That's not what I'm saying. But when I made the video, I got a lot of people giving me a lot of good pointers and things, and showing me what I said wrong. So instead of going and remaking the whole video, which I can't do right now because I deleted all the footage, so I can't actually change anything about it without the video editor breaking, because the video is fucking too long to actually just edit itself. By the way, if you can't tell, this video is live, and there's gonna be a lot of cuts, because I need a minute sometimes.
Let's start with a brief history. He created his channel in December of 2012 and soon began uploading several video critiques of Bethesda titles. Although his criticism was not limited to Bethesda titles, But if it had been, maybe his channel might still be up today. His critiques are long, detailed rants and typically will almost mirror a heavily narrated Let's Play, but punctuated with well thought out analysis and opinions. Most of these critique videos would share a similar formula. He would start from the beginning of the game, paralleling the experience the player would have with the game. As he would make progress, he would go off into different critiques about his experience with the game as it played out. To those with a short attention span, this could be a barrier to enjoying his content since the style of review would lead to 3-hour-long videos. But to those who had played these games thoroughly, and who shared these same criticisms, could find a reaffirming and accurate description of their own experiences. In a way, Bethesda is attempting to have its cake and eat it too, trying to pander to both mainstream audiences and hardcore enthusiasts. This leads to one fan base eating out of their palms while the other side of the fan base desperately tries to find some redeeming qualities in the reanimated zombified husk of the game they once loved, but can't help but be overwhelmed by that voice in the back of their mind that reminds them, this game is shallow. Mr. Caption encapsulates that frustration. He also had enough respect for his audience to know the people who enjoy rich, lore-filled RPGs will have the attention span to listen to a 3-hour-long critique on the franchise and its death throes. Death throes that are also its most profitable. These videos were Caption at his best. He sounded confident, his criticisms were well constructed, and he was able to incorporate a bit of humor into his videos. This was all going well until he decided to review a little-known game by the name of Nier Automata. Nier Automata, I think. I don't fucking know. Nier Automata. Developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix, Nier Automata is a sequel to a spin-off of the Drakengard series. And if you've never heard of any of that, I wouldn't blame you. But apparently this series has an extremely loyal fan base and has garnered a cult following with its unique and somewhat vague storytelling. The world is rich with lore, but only for those who have a keen eye for detail. Mr. Caption would attempt to climb this mountain of a game and break down his experience with it in the same manner he had done with Bethesda titles. Little did he know, this game required you to take a 3-week correspondence course prior to playing it just to understand what the story is. While not much is known about how these next events transpired, but as I've gathered, even though Mr. Caption gave what seemed to be a fair critique, citing many of the game's positives and saying he overall enjoyed his time with Nier, he still received a fair amount of backlash from the Nier fans. More backlash than he had previously faced. And this was something he wasn't used to. Mr. Caption was the kind of guy who would pour his heart into his criticism. He had built a character for his videos that was a snarky, sarcastic, and intelligent loner. A man who said what he thought because he had not much to lose, or so it would appear. The backlash would result in Mr. Caption uploading a video responding to his critics, but not in the way one would have thought. The once condescending Caption now sounded like a battered wife, forcing his words through his tears as he chokes on his statements. Frantic clacks from his keyboard rattle in the background as he tries to desperately justify his reasoning while admitting the faults in his videos, but his overall demeanor is of a broken spirit and off-putting. You can't help but feel sorry for him, though the irony of a critic who cannot take criticism is not lost on me.
So, yeah, I got a bunch of people, giving me a lot of good critique that I needed to hear. And, I thought I'd, take this opportunity to make that follow-up video that they were talking about, that they suggested, to yes, defend myself on certain points. And I just want to take a second. A lot of people were saying that they thought that I didn't read anything or do any of the quests or anything like that. So I'll just show you what I did do here. I have 40% completion. I know I didn't do every quest, and that's my fault. I should have done every quest if I was gonna make this video. I should have done every quest. I'm not smart enough to have interpreted everything correctly, or that maybe I forgot certain details or something like that. But I just wanted to confirm that I didn't make the video without, reading things. I didn't just blaze through the game one time and that was it. I've actually, I've played the game as you're supposed to.
This would not be the end, for Caption would then delete not only his Discord and Twitter, but his YouTube channel along with all of its videos, subscribers, and history. As it would seem, Mr. Caption had disappeared. Rumors circulated that Mr. Caption had committed suicide, while others insisted that he was simply taking a break from the internet. One person, named Mr. Zeke Blowstein, re-uploaded some of Caption's videos, which I highly recommend watching. Luckily, the rumors of Mr. Caption's suicide were simply that, just rumors. And Mr. Caption actually has started a new channel, simply titled Caption, with his most recent upload around 2 months ago. He has started doing reviews again, but I can't help but feel his criticisms are not nearly as hard-hitting as they once were. They are also much shorter than his previous channel's videos. I personally wish he would go back to his old format. I'd love to hear his thoughts on Fallout 76, and not this new, watered-down version of his thoughts. I want him to rip that game a new one. But it's clear producing that type of content was not good for his health. Being that negative also brought with it a negative backlash. Not everyone is prepared to go through that every time they want to make a video. It's kind of like getting a musician who was really good at one point, but not so good now that he's sober, to do heroin again, just so you can have them produce the music you like. It's kind of selfish to sacrifice the well-being of the artist for your own amusement. Forcing Caption to make that kind of content again would put him in a position that lowers his quality of life. But a man can dream.
To say that Fallout 4 is the most controversial release, not only in the Fallout series, but from Bethesda Softworks in general, is no less than the absolute objective truth. And over the course of this video, from the perspective of both a naysayer and a massive Fallout fan, I'd like to explain why exactly this game has garnered the ire of so many people. For some awful, completely pointless reason, Bethesda seems to have it in their heads that the protagonists of the Fallout franchise should not, in fact, be characters with stories fully created by the player, allowing the consumers of this product to exercise their creative muscles and write their own story, which gives them an incomparable sense of freedom and understanding of who they want to play going forward. In this game series, lauded and applauded and advertised.
Like the rest of the game, this is about making it your own experience.
For its ability to harken back to the golden age of RPGs where adventures took place on a tabletop, and imagination governed the tale ahead of its heroes, and for its immense player freedom and allowance to let the player go and do whatever they want, wherever they want, to whomever they want, with whatever they want, but instead that the game should star a character who's fleshed out and written by the development team over at Bethesda Studios instead. Now, I would take a moment and speculate exactly what brand of chewing tobacco and paint products the team over at Bethesda must have been abusing to think something this stupid was a good idea in Fallout 3 or in this game, but instead we're just going to talk about why this is a terrible mishandling of the genre to begin with.